In today's episode of Inside the Mind, we're going to explore why being disliked by others might actually be the best thing that could happen to you. This audio recording includes subtitles so you can follow along more intentionally and absorb the ideas at your own pace. Why is it that we're so terrified of others not liking us, that we'll bend ourselves into impossible shapes, silence our own thoughts, and abandon our needs just to maintain approval from people who, in many cases, we don't even respect? The fear of being disliked runs deep in our psychological wiring. It's primal, and for good reason. Throughout human history, rejection from the tribe meant death. But in today's world, this ancient survival mechanism has become a prison, keeping us trapped in a constant performance that exhausts us while robbing the world of who we really are. Here's something I've learned the hard way. The energy you spend trying to be universally liked is directly proportional to how much of yourself you're sacrificing. Think about it. When was the last time you bit your tongue rather than speak an honest thought? When did you last agree to something you didn't want, just to avoid potential conflict? How often do you edit yourself before walking into a room? The pursuit of universal likability is not just exhausting, it's impossible. And today, I want to show you why being disliked might be the most liberating experience you'll ever have. Let's start with a truth that might be hard to hear. Some people will dislike you no matter what you do. You could be kind, generous, humble, and accomplished. And still, there will be someone who finds you irritating, threatening, or simply not their cup of tea. This isn't a reflection of your worth, it's a fundamental reality of human social dynamics. We are not meant to connect with everyone. Chemistry exists between people for a reason. It creates natural boundaries around who belongs in your life and who doesn't. But here's where it gets interesting. When someone dislikes you, especially when you've been authentic, they're not actually rejecting you. They're rejecting their perception of you, which is filtered through their own experiences, traumas, values, and insecurities. Their reaction says far more about them than it ever could about you. I remember the first time I published an article that expressed an opinion I felt strongly about. The praise was nice, but what truly changed me were the harsh comments, the people who fundamentally disagreed with my perspective. At first it stung. I lay awake replaying their words, questioning my knowledge, my writing, even my right to have an opinion. But as the days passed, something shifted. I realized that those negative reactions weren't destroying me. They were defining me. By articulating what I believed and allowing others to disagree, I had inadvertently discovered where my boundaries were. I learned what I was willing to stand for, even when standing meant standing alone. This is what psychologists call differentiation, the process of separating your thoughts, feelings, and identity from those around you. It's the difference between being a distinct individual and being a chameleon who changes colors to match whatever environment they're in. People with high differentiation can maintain their sense of self even when others disapprove. They don't collapse under criticism or inflate with praise. They have, as the saying goes, an internal locus of evaluation. And this brings us to the first real benefit of being disliked: clarity. When you stop contorting yourself to be liked by everyone, you begin to see who resonates with the authentic you. The connections that remain are deeper, more meaningful, and infinitely more nourishing than the shallow approval you get from being inoffensively palatable. The people who like you when you're being real, these are your people. The rest, they're simply making room in your life for better matches. But there's more. The second benefit of being disliked is freedom. When you're no longer beholden to others' approval, you reclaim the energy that once went into monitoring, adjusting, and second-guessing yourself. This energy becomes available for creativity, growth, and actually enjoying your life. Imagine walking into a room without wondering if people are judging you. Imagine speaking your mind without rehearsing your words to ensure they won't offend. Imagine making decisions based solely on what feels right to you, not what will earn you the most social points. That's freedom, and it only comes when you're willing to be disliked. Now, I want to be clear about something. I'm not suggesting you become deliberately offensive or disregard how your actions impact others. Kindness matters. Empathy matters. But these qualities shine brightest when they come from an authentic place, not from fear or people-pleasing. There's a profound difference between being kind because you value kindness and being nice because you're afraid of disapproval. The third benefit of being disliked is perhaps the most counterintuitive: respect. We often assume that likability and respect go hand in hand, but the evidence suggests otherwise. Think about the people you most respect in your life or throughout history. Are they people who bent to every wind of opinion? Or are they people who stood for something, even when it costs them popularity. When you're willing to be disliked for the right reasons, for honesty, for integrity, for standing up for what you believe, you earn a deeper kind of respect that transcends mere likability. Even those who disagree with you can recognize and respect authenticity. It's rare, it's powerful, and it's magnetic in a way that trying to be liked never will be. This brings us to an important distinction. There's a difference between being disliked for being authentic and being disliked for being unkind. If you're receiving negative feedback because you're hurting others, ignoring boundaries, or being deliberately provocative, that's not authenticity. That's something else entirely, and it deserves reflection. But if you're being disliked because you expressed an honest opinion, set a boundary, pursued an unconventional path, or simply showed up as your weird and wonderful self, that's the kind of disliked that builds character and attracts the right people into your life. So how do we begin embracing the possibility of being disliked? Here are 3 practical steps. First, start small. You don't need to reveal your most controversial opinions at the next family dinner. Begin by noticing when you're self-censoring and ask yourself, what would I say if I wasn't worried about how this would land? Sometimes, try saying that thing, especially in low-stakes situations, like expressing your actual preference when someone asks where you want to eat, instead of saying, I don't care, whatever you want. Second, practice sitting with discomfort. When someone disagrees with you or shows disapproval, resist the urge to immediately backtrack or apologize. Take a breath. Notice the physical sensations that arise. Remind yourself that these feelings, while uncomfortable, are not dangerous. This discomfort is the growing pain of developing stronger differentiation, the ability to maintain your sense of self even when others disapprove. Third, and this is crucial, build a support system of people who value authenticity. Surround yourself with friends who don't require you to be someone you're not. People who can disagree with you without withdrawing love. People who understand that real connection happens between real people, not between the masks we wear to please each other. These relationships become the safe harbor from which you can venture into more challenging social waters. Now, there's an objection I often hear when discussing this topic. But what about at work? I can't just say whatever I want if I want to keep my job. This is true. There are social contracts in professional settings that require certain behaviors. But even here, there's more room for authenticity than most people utilize. You can disagree respectfully, you can propose alternative approaches, you can set boundaries around your time and energy. And sometimes, you might find that the job that requires you to compromise your core values isn't the right job for you at all. Remember, every time you choose authenticity over approval seeking, you're not just changing your own life, you're changing the culture around you. You're giving others permission to be real too. One of the most powerful aspects of being willing to be disliked is how it transforms your relationship with criticism. When you're no longer devastated by disapproval, you can actually listen to feedback without being defensive. You can ask yourself, is there something valuable here that could help me grow? Or is this simply a difference in values or perspective? This discernment allows you to learn from criticism without being defined by it, a superpower in a world where many people either reject all feedback or are crushed by any hint of disapproval. As we begin to wrap up, I want to share a perspective that changed everything for me when I was struggling with the fear of being disliked. Every time you choose authenticity over people-pleasing, you're casting a vote for the kind of world you want to live in. A world where people can be honest without fear, where diverse perspectives are expressed, not suppressed, where connections are based on truth, not performance. In small ways every day, your willingness to be disliked makes this world more possible. So the next time someone doesn't like something you've said or done, and you know you've been authentic, try something radical. Thank them, not sarcastically, but sincerely. Thank them for helping you clarify your boundaries, for making room in your life for people who get you, for giving you the gift of freedom from the exhausting pursuit of universal approval. Because the truth is, being disliked might just be the best thing that ever happened to you. It's not just okay to be disliked. Sometimes it's absolutely necessary for living a life that's truly yours. This is Inside the Mind, and I hope this perspective helps you find more freedom, authenticity, and peace in your own social world. Until next time, remember, the goal isn't to be liked by everyone. It's to be deeply known and valued by the people who matter.